Here's why Judaism cannot be true.
I am not Jewish. I have read some of the Talmud. I'm not expert. I'm like I've done the Daf on me, but I do think there's some misinformation in this.
Judaism is the central belief system for the Jews. It is the original Abrahamic religion, and it utilizes Christianity's Old Testament as the baseline for its theology. Their holy text is the Tanakh, and it's comprised of the Torah, the Nevi'im, and the Ketuvim. Jews have also turned their oral laws into religious texts such as the Mishnah and the Talmud. In Orthodox Judaism, the Talmud is essential to following the Torah and is practiced as binding law.
There are two Talmuds, the Babylonian Talmud and the Jerusalem Talmud. But if someone says the Talmud, you can safely bet they're talking about the Babylonian Talmud because it's the most popular and expansive. The Talmud consists of the Mishnah and the Gemara. The Gemara is like an archive or forum of sages and elders just discussing and debating.
You're either born Jewish or you convert to Judaism by following the Tanakh and Hebrew law.
This is a false dichotomy. Most rabbis would tell Gentiles not to convert to Judaism because 630 mitzvot or commandments are quite hard to keep. They would say just become a righteous Gentile by following the 7 Noahide laws.
Jews believe that Yahweh created the universe and that they have been set apart by God to be a better people than the rest of humanity.
If you read the verse right after that, I said Hashem loved the Israelites because they were weak, so he chose them. So in fact, in Judaism, Gentiles are considered stronger than Jews.
In fact, people outside of their religion are regarded as subhuman animals. For example, in Sanhedrin 57a, it is said that the birth of a goy or a non-Jew is similar to that of a wild animal.
To clarify, withhold means to delay payment, not to never pay. A Jewish employer must pay a Jewish worker before the sun sets. So it's clear Jews must pay all their workers their wages. If you read the whole thing, it's simply stating the mandated purification rituals for a corpse only apply if the corpse is Jewish.
Throughout history, the Jews have justified warfare using the name of their god Yahweh.
There is no historical evidence this occurred, so some Jews believe Hashem commanded this, and some Jews believe it didn't.
They have made human sacrifices to their god Yahweh. And
there are two camps in this. Jephthah actually sacrificed his daughter, or his daughter just had to remain celibate for life.
Despite Yahweh being supposedly a god of love, God himself has supposedly wiped out entire civilizations.
Historically, there's likely a local flood in Mesopotamia, but I think most Jews would believe it was a global flood.
Remember, Yahweh is also the God in the Christian Bible. And then there's the Talmud, which Jews say that Gentiles take wildly out of context. But if anybody can find the context to make it okay to say things such as, even the best of the Gentiles should all be killed.
This is completely fabricated. Check the references for yourself.
If a Jew finds an item lost by a Gentile, it does not have to be returned.
A Jew is obliged to return another Jew's lost item. There is no ruling saying a Jew has to return a Gentile's lost item. Unless there's a possibility the Gentile will curse Hashem, then the Jew is obliged to return the item. If you live in a place with more Jews than Gentiles, you have to declare the item, but otherwise you don't have to. But that's why you don't know whose item it is. This is a context-specific comment by Rav Yehuda. This was written when the Romans had occupied Israel, so had to flee to Babylonia. It's not saying God do not spare anyone who does these things, it's just not recommending you to do these things.
A woman is nothing but a sack of excrement.
Rav Kahana is using this hyperbole to say humans find blood, semen, excrement, etc. repulsive. But Hashem made marital sex pure, so it seems illogical that humans would enjoy sex when it should seem repulsive. But since Hashem made it pure, people should not act like marital sex is taboo or impure. Jesus is boiling in excrement. That's the most popular thing you'll see. I've even had friends ask me if this is true. The Talmud writes Aramaic with Hebrew letters. What's been translated as Jesus is really Yeshu. Yeshu was genuinely such a common name during Second Temple Judaism when this was written. Why this is not Jesus, Yeshua was stoned, not crucified, and he was a student of Yeshua ben Parachia. Guess what? Yeshua lived in the late 2nd century BC, around a century before Jesus was born.
And that it's permissible to have intercourse with a child over the age of 3, then I would be happy to hear it.
Some parts of the Talmud discuss what happens if something that's not permitted actually happens. This terrible scenario should never happen because a girl has to be physically mature and have the capacity to consent to enter a marriage. Even seducing a minor girl is considered rape. This is saying if a woman had sex with a boy under 9, she would still be considered a virgin. A boy would have to be at least 12 years and a day old to enter a marriage, and premarital sex is clearly forbidden. This is saying if a girl under 3 had sex, she'd still be considered a virgin, but of course we know that would be forbidden.
While many modern forms of halakha do not encourage this practice, nor do the majority partake in it, it is explicitly clear that the Talmud recognizes child marriage and child intercourse. There are internal problems within Judaism that prevent it from being objectively true, such as Moses and Jacob seeing the face of an unseeable God, and God testing Abraham to see if he'd murder his own son to see if he'd be faithful, despite the fact that God's already all-knowing. Earliest forms of Judaism were actually polytheistic, but evolved into a monotheistic religion.
Well, Judaism evolved from henotheistic to monolatrous to monotheistic as it is today. So basically, right.
About a murderous God of love. Jews are actively using their religion to justify atrocity in the Middle East.
Benjamin Netanyahu said, quote, You must remember what Amalek has done to you, says our Holy Bible, end quote. So I would say that's fair to say.
In the same way that Christianity used their religion to justify slavery in the 1800s,
the Bible promotes and never condemns slavery, so historically Christian masters used the Bible to support slavery.
and the same way that Islam used their religion to justify getting rid of women's rights.
I don't know if Iran jails, executes people who are disbelievers or critics of Islam, but I do think there are blasphemy laws.
The core problem is Abrahamic religion and the people that facilitate these beliefs as if they are objectively true, when in fact they are lying to you about how the universe actually functions in order to profit off your faith and exploit your faith for cultural hegemony.